Hey guys, Forever Retro 82 here. I figured I would share my SNES story with you, and I'll try to recall everything from memory. I don't know if it'll be as perfect as I would like it to be, or at least perfect. I'm just going to try to recall everything I can from this brain of mine. As you know, the human brain is not perfect. You may notice my shirt's off because we got a heat wave right now, and it's pissing me off. I'm sure it's pissing some of you off too. I just read that like the entire nation has been going through a heat cycle that's just, I hate it. And I'm not going to show my man tits either because I'm not RTU and Boogie298, who are nothing more than attention whores, and I can't stand either of their channels, and I hope they die. Not them personally, but their channels. I can't stand them. They're e-beggars, and they make me sick, and they're attention seekers. And they might as well just have get their penises lopped off and be like, I'm a lady now. Right. Drink water. It's the best thing for you during this kind of heat. And my window unit doesn't want to work right now. I probably need to clean the filter. Anyway, that's besides the point. I hope you all are doing well, first and foremost. So I'm going to try to recall everything I can in this video from memory. So, you know, sit back, grab a beer, soda, or water, whatever it is you like to drink. Or if you want to eat, that's fine too. I mean, I don't give a fuck what you do. You can beat off for all I give a fuck. Anyhow, so my SNES story. First of all, you know, little, backstory and history of the SNES. As many of you may or may not know, the SNES was one of the greatest systems, if not the greatest system of all time. There are many classics on it, such as Super Metroid, Secret of Mana, ActRaiser. I mean, there's a whole fucking plethora of great games on the SNES. Every console, of course, has its good and bad games. The SNES had more good than, say, bad, at least in my opinion. And I always have a hard time deciphering and deciding what is the better console for me, personally. I love the SNES, and I adore the NES, and I adore the Genesis. All three of them are very high on my list. I call them the golden consoles. TurboGrafx 16 is also a golden console in my mind, because I really enjoy that content that's on that system, and it doesn't get enough love. And I wish NEC of America or Japan or who was ever in charge of marketing for that console did a better job, because a lot of people pointed out, and it's very true, that the NEC or the TurboGrafx in general was not marketed correctly, and I really wish it got more exposure. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, the SNES. So here's my story. Hopefully it's good. I'll try to remember as best I can. So, anyways, let's get started. So when I was about 9 years old, we used to go to a place called Farmer Jack. Okay, it was a place. Let's see, that's for later. Here we go. That's Farmer Jack. It was a place where you went grocery shopping. You know, grocery places. There was one on 10 and Hoover, near where I used to live, and they had a magazine rack, and mostly all the game magazines were in bags, so you couldn't get to them. But there were a couple. I don't remember the magazines from the top of my head. I just remember I grabbed one and sat down and read it. My parents were like, "Okay, if you promise to stay here, you can go ahead and read this magazine or these magazines or whatever, or go to the." They had a video rental service too at the time, but that was cut very shortly after a course of 2 or 3 years. Anyway, so we have that, and I went there and I sat and looked at this magazine. And in the magazine, they mentioned there's 2 articles that really caught my eye that I remember to this day. They gave a little strategy section for Blaster Master and how to beat all 8 bosses. You know what they called the bosses in that magazine? Warlords. Us gamers know that there is no such thing as warlords in that point in time in video gaming. In that era, they were known as bosses or main enemies or whatever the fuck, whatever if you want to call them warlords, that's fine. But I just think that's a dumb phrase. And I was just like, warlords, huh? Okay. Anyways, they gave off some pretty good tips, but I don't remember from the top of my head, because I can beat the game on my own accord and I use my own strategy. Your mileage may vary when it comes to Blaster Master or any game from that era, for that matter. Okay, so there's there was that, and then the next article is when my eyes got wide with excitement, and my adrenaline started flowing. The announcement of the Nintendo successor, the Super Nintendo, and they showed screenshots of Mario and explained. It was a big article what Mario World was about, because that was the only game covered in depth. The next page just had one snapshot of upcoming games like Super R-Type, Pilot Wings, and the Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And I was just amazed at how it looked. I thought it looked amazing, and rightfully so. So when my parents got done shopping, they came to me, and I picked up this magazine, and I looked at my mom and dad, and I showed them the Super Nintendo. I'm like, I want this. What do I have to do to get it? And they're like, well, when does it come out, and how much does it cost? And I said, well, it says it's going to come out sometime in the next couple months, because it was like April or May when I was in there, and the Super NES was released in August of that year, in 1991. So, and they're like, okay, well, we'll see how much. It didn't really give a retail price, at least not that I can recall. Because when I was a kid, I was just like, you want something, you don't really care about prices. That's for your parents to handle. But that was just me. I mean, your brain made it work differently from mine, obviously. So about, I want to say 2 or 3 months later, it was August, obviously, from like May to August. Let's see, May, June, July, August. Yeah, about 3 months later, the system was released. And they had a video. We went to Toys R Us. I remember this. And they had a video constantly looping of the Super Nintendo and some of the games that was shown. Super Mario World was one, but when I saw like games like Pilot Wings and Super R-Type, I think it looked bloody amazing. Like from what we were playing with to what we were going to have, or what we had with the Super Nintendo, it just looked mind-blowing. And another game they showed, and some of you like this game. I was not a fan. Fucking Populous. I fucking hate that game. I rented that game, and I rented it for 2 days because there's this place called Video Busters that was near my house as well at the time. They're long gone now, obviously. They were one of the first places to die. They lost to Movie Mania. They had a system where you can rent a game for one night for $1.50, and you can rent it for 2 nights for $3.50. Don't ask me their prices. I don't understand it myself. So I rented it for 2 days because it looked like something I could maybe get into, but my 9-year-old self was scratching my head just thinking, how the fuck do you play this game? And then finally a friend showed me how to play it, and I'm like, this game fucking sucks. This is boring. I want to run around and shoot shit. I don't want to sit here and figure out how to level lands and build shit and build. Fuck that. Command & Conquer perfected that in 1995. Populous can go suck a fucking cow's dick and drink the milk out of it. It's not an udder there, fella. Hated Populous. Fuck that game. I never want to look at it again. But some people like it, so I'm not going to dog you for it. But I personally think all Populous and all its reincarnations can go suck a fat one. So there, I found the price. I believe it was $199.95. So I told my parents, and I showed them. They're like, well, that's expensive, son. You're going to have to wait till maybe Santa. At the time, my parents told me that Santa was still a thing. They didn't really reveal it until the following year that Santa's not real. Because, when you're a kid, you're dumb, and you want to stay naive. Yes, children, Santa is not real. Your parents are Santa Claus. Your parents are fucking Easter bunnies. And your parents are also the fucking Tooth Fairy. Yes. So, stop with your fictional characters and just understand it's all your parents. Sorry to burst your bubble. So, I noticed something funny happened that year. Usually my parents asked me and they would go to Santa Claus and ask them for whatever gift I wanted, right? They didn't ask that this year. Because I think they already knew, in retrospect. But I'm not sure. Maybe. So You know, I was getting so excited about this damn system. And sure enough, a little before the Christmas rush, we went to Target, and they had a kiosk, which is what I was unfortunately showing you before. This thing. They had Super Mario World in it, so I finally got a chance to test out the Super Nintendo, and I fucking loved it. I loved the controller. I loved the rounded edges. I loved the feel in my hands. It felt like a controller. I mean, not that the SNES controller didn't feel right. That was perfect. Even with its boxy design, it just felt right. It was a lot better than that goddamn Atari joystick with the one button. That fucker was stiff. It was stiffer than your dick when you're trying to give yourself a fucking hand job when you're looking at some good, delicious porn like Lady Fire or whatever the fuck else you like. Fucking what's her nuts? If she had nuts, she'd be a man now. I can't even think of porn stars. The only one that came to mind is Lady Fire because that's my favorite go-to for a redhead. Anyways, that's besides the point. The guitar joystick was. It worked, but later the Sega Genesis controller worked on it. That's a story another time. I don't know why I keep mumbling on and trailing off. So I played that, and I was just in love. I'm like, man, I hope I get this soon or sometime soon. But then another console was released. It was released earlier, and that will be a story for another time. But I'm just going to put this in there. Just for part of the story. My brother, Michael, he loved Mario World. He did. He thought it was fantastic. But another certain character who was going head-on with competition was released with the Sega Genesis, and that was Sonic the Hedgehog. He was addicted to it to the point where basically my parents had to rip him off from the controller. He was that addicted to it. Sure enough, he loved the Sonic trilogy, but after that he fell off the map because he decided to devote all of his life, in terms of hobbies anyways, to PC gaming, like RTS games. He plays Warcraft 3 to this day. So finally, we get to Christmas 1991. I noticed there wasn't much presents there, but I didn't care. You know, we have so many spoiled fucking babies out there in this day where they get something they don't like or they don't approve of, and they act like fucking little entitled babies. You know, I always appreciated what my parents got me for Christmas because they thought of me enough to get me something. Even when my mom didn't have dealer trades when I was 14, because that's what her job was through Pontiac Rinky, her boss screwed her out of dealer trades during the Christmas season, and we didn't have a Christmas that year. Her friend gave us, she worked at Kmart, she gave us all gift cards. And I bought a cassette of Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon, which was stolen from me some years later, because my brother hung out with a lot of stoners. And the stoners I hung out with we always went elsewhere. We didn't chill at my place. My brother would always chance it and get caught by, whatever. I'll tell that story some other time. But we live in I'm a grown man now, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. Fuck you, Mom. But thanks for the Super Nintendo, which is what I got that year. But I just remember there's, a bunch of boxes. I remember I got a 1957 Chevy model car. It was gorgeous. It was die-cast metal, chrome finish. It was just beautiful. And I put that on my game shelf at the time. My game shelf was a bookcase, kind of like what I got behind me in that direction, except it was a lot smaller and it was burgundy colored. So, a matter of fact, that thing still exists. It's in the basement of my mom's house. Which I hardly ever go down because there's a lot of centipedes and spiders down there, and I am scared to death of house centipedes. I don't know about you guys, but god damn, those things creep me out. They're like gremlinized caterpillars, and I love caterpillars. So I got that. Mom used to get those candies the lifesavers and the Christmas books. I don't know. They were like books, right? And you opened it, and inside there was a bunch of lifesaver like candies, and they were like fruit flavored, mint flavored, chocolate flavored, just a bunch of assorted shit. And you should also like to buy us M&Ms that were in a cane. They still make those today, by the way. And so we got some candy, we got some the car. I think I got a couple action figure sets because yes, I was still playing with action figures at 9 years old. I love GI Joes like a motherfucker. I'd make my own episodes using my characters, and I would like have story arcs and be like to be continued, but I would never record them or anything. I didn't have any equipment. I mean, I did at the time. Me and my friends used to make like these newscasts using audio tapes, and most of them unfortunately were destroyed because cassettes don't last forever. But finally, after all those small, wonderful gifts my parents got me, they went to the bedroom and pulled out this box. 2 of them. One for me, one for my brother. I ripped that fucker open, and seriously, I think my heart stopped. I was absolutely in awe. There it was in front of me. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, complete with 2 controllers and a copy of Super Mario World. I don't have the same Mario World cartridge because there was a time when you were able to sell that game at Funkoland for a good price. But I rebought it many years later when it was like $5 at said Funkoland. So I sold it because me and my brother played the shit out of that game. In fact, the first week we owned the game, we completed it within, I think, a 3 or 4 day period. Now, I asked my brother, because my mom's like, you guys got to share the TV, because we didn't have a TV in our room at the time. My parents couldn't afford it. And a lot of resale shops didn't carry TVs, at least the ones that would accept our, RF signals or anything like that. They were like the old TVs with the screws in them. Yeah, fuck that. So we had to share the TV, and that was hard because my dad would watch TV when he'd come home from work, pass the fuck out after he would work 10 plus hour days on a fucking hydraulic press. He used to do that shit and then pass the fuck out. So it was hard for us, but I asked my brother after an hour of playing Mario World, I'm like, do you want to play Sonic? He said no. He was perfectly content with playing Super Mario World with me. And that was the only game we had. The only game we could afford, because it came with the system. It wasn't until the following year that I got my next game. My first game other than Super Mario World, I'm still... in retrospect, I wish I could go back in time and beat the fuck out of both myself and my brother. The first game I got, I deserve that, was Rival Turf. Reason, my brother. Let me explain. My brother Michael, I wanted The Legend of Mystical Ninja. I never played it, but it looked fun. I just looked at the screenshots. I'm like, hey, this looks like a game you and I could play and have fun. You know what his comment was? It's not accurate because I don't remember it word for word, but he's like, that looks fucking gay. I don't want you buying that. I don't want to play that with you. It looks dumb. Then I saw Rival Turf, and we rented Final Fight prior. I rented a lot of games, which I will show in my next video, where I will explain or show the games that I first started off with. Some of the ones that I spent a lot of time with. At least the first games. I mean, I'm not going to make a whole plethora of, because I would be here. I would make a video that would last at least a year long, and I'm not going to do that. But I will show like 10 or so games that I personally started with. That got me introduced to the Super Nintendo and all that. Kind of like my Atari vid. That's besides the point. So yeah, look out for that. So, Rival Turf. I said, would you play this with me? He's like, hey, that looks like Final Fight. And it's 2-player, unlike Final Fight. Yeah, get that. Michael, I doubt you watch any of my videos, But I swear to Christ, if I could go back in time, I would seriously strangle your small little self. I would strangle you and kick you to the ground. Because here's the irony in this situation. I got birthday money from family members. We bought Rival Turf. I thought it was okay for an hour, and I didn't want to touch it again. It was just that bad. To this day, I still think it's bad. I don't understand the people that stick up for the fucking Russian Beat series. It is, all of them are drawn out, boring. They're like okay, you know how like GoBots is considered the poverty Transformers? Well, Rival Turf was the poverty Final Fight. No joke. So, I rented The Legend of Mystical Ninja because Skip's Video carried it. Shortly after that, I went and rented it because I wanted to play it. I still wanted to play it. I didn't give a fuck what my brother's opinion was. Fuck him. His opinions were benign at that point. They were absolutely worthless. So I rented it, and then I gave the guy a $10, and he gave me $2.50 back. He thought I gave him a $5. So I called Skips. I was like, I gave you $10, and you only gave me $2.50 back. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. He's like, come back to the store. I'll give you your money. I was like, all right, thank you. Because me and Skip, we were dope. I mean, he would let me rent pornos when I was 15 years old, as long as my dad was cool with it. And because my dad went up there with me, and I'll go ahead and add this to the story. He's like, he asked Skip. He's like, or I asked my dad, I'm like, can I rent a porno, Dad? Would that bother you too much? He's like, not really. You're of age, kind of. You're only 15, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure you've done stuff. I mean, my dad was very shy when it came to talking about man things. So he went to Skip. I can't believe I'm mentioning this conversation, but I thought I'd throw it in there for shits and giggles. He went to Skip. He's like, I know your adult section's for 18 years old or something like that. And he's like, and I believe my son is old enough to understand how things work between us men. And with your permission, if it's all right with you, I mean, because it's okay with me as his father, can he rent pornography? He's like, yes, but he can't mention that I let him rent pornography. And I was like, okay, I won't say a word. He's like, okay. But he's like, the minute you mention to anybody else that I let you rent pornography at your age, we're done. I said, understood, Skip. Me and him were so cool. He would let me buy fireworks after that. He let me, I have to rent pornos, of course, I just mentioned that. He sometimes would even give me a discount on renting systems. He would rent out systems a couple times. As a matter of fact, I rented a PlayStation 2 for $10 a night. That was a little steep, but I wanted to give it a try to see, and I didn't like it. I still don't like the PS2. It's one of my least favorite consoles ever. I prefer the Dreamcast. But yeah, there was that. So, anyways, I rented Mystical Ninja, and I got my money back for the money he didn't give me back. Like, I gave him a 10, he gave me $2.50 back, and he gave me the rest. So it's like $5. Come back on my bicycle, my beautiful Huffy 10-speed that my friend Donald gave me because he upgraded to a Mongoose, and back then Mongoose was like the thing to have. That's kind of like the Nike of shoes back then, at least from my memory. At least where I lived. I don't know if it differs for where you're from, but that's where it was like for me. Anyway, I come back. My brother comes outside. I was like, what? He looks at me. He's like, you should have got that game on your birthday. You should have got that game on your birthday. Motherfucker, that's what I tried to do! And you didn't let me. You said it looked gay, it looked stupid. I said, what was that about? He's like, I was wrong. Michael, fuck you. Anyways, I didn't get a chance to play it yet because I had to go get my money. Then I got my money, I came back, I picked up the controller, I asked him if he wanted to play. He's like, yeah, this game's great. We played it. Fell in love with it immediately. In fact, I own a copy of the game. Not the same one as I played at Skips, because there's only a handful of titles that I was able to get at Skips before they closed or when they were selling off their Super Nintendo games. Like my copy of Lagoon is the same one I rented. I loved that game, and I still do. It's a very misunderstood game. Goddamn, I'm alfalfa. I got my hair sticking up my neck. So that pissed me off. I'm trying to remember my third game. I do remember my third game. My father had to put on layaway because, like I said, poor family. The third game that I got was Star Fox. I fucking loved that game. Matter of fact, I beat the first level because there's 3 paths in the game for you. I mean, if you have a SNES Classic, it should be on there. No, I think the second game is only on there. I don't remember. Stupid brain. Love that game. Played it. I got it on my birthday of 1993, and I played the shit out of that. I was in love with it. It was great, and I'm like, man, the Super Nintendo can do anything. And, well, the rest is pretty much history. That's pretty much my Super NES story, how I got started with it. I know it's a very anticlimactic end, but, stories can only speak so much. It's the games. The games is what makes the system. You can have the best specs in the world, but if the games are shit, then the system is not. It's done. 3DO and Jaguar, I'm looking in your direction. Anyways, Anyways, that's my story. I'm trying to find a good way to end this. I really can't find one. I hope you liked the story. I know I trailed off a lot, but I always like to throw in snippets every then here and there with stories to add a little bit more flavor than just the main course. Because some people when they go out to dinner or whatever, they have an appetizer and then the main course and then sometimes a dessert. Me, I just eat the main course and that's it. Fuck it. Fuck the appetizer. I don't need the extra calories. So, anyways, I want you to look out for the next video. I will be covering some of the games that I started with, including the ones I spoke of. And I'm not, like I said, if I could go through every game I played through, like some of my favorites, we'd be here until fucking next Christmas. And actually, Christmas sounds good right now because it's fucking hot outside. Hate it with a passion. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this story. I will be doing more in the future, of course. And, if you have some stories you would like to share with me, and do you have any stories of the SNES that are similar, or a story you'd like to share with the rest of us, I mean, feel free to make a comment. Or, what were your favorite memories of the Super Nintendo? What did you like? How did you get yours? When did you discover it? Because some of you weren't. Some of you out there may be as old as me or younger than me, but I know there's some gamers in their 12, 13 that have just discovered the SNES or have discovered it in a couple of years past, and they're like, wow, this is like amazing. It's fun compared to what we have today. Or some are just like, fuck that, let's play Fortnite, PUBG. Those games can go fuck off, Cliff. I hate both of them to death. I played them for like a little bit, and I was like, fuck this shit. Glad I didn't spend any money on them. Anyways, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the story for what it was worth, and I'll try to get the next upload either up later on today or tomorrow. It'll be just some of the games that I've spent most of my time with, and then we'll do another story of the next system. I don't know. Let's do a vote. Nintendo 64 or Sega Genesis? What's the next game story you want me to do? Comment. You know that little thing that's underneath this video? Yeah. So you guys have to take good care of yourselves. Stay cool, okay? And drink plenty of this, because this is good for you. It's water. Keeps you cool. Keeps your blood pressure low. Good stuff. Way nature intended. You guys have a great one. We'll see you on the next video.